Welcome to The Gray Matters, where we discuss more than just the hot topics and headlines of the day from a black man's perspective. We appreciate that as a community, we are not a monolith and every subject deserves to be explored with nuance, giving a view from all sides of the culture. So we're here to hopefully bring that to you every week with a little bit of nuance, some class, and a little bit of fun as well. Our panel consists of three guys that are absolutely nothing alike, and you'll soon come to find out just how much we love each other in spite of our sometimes very big differences. I'm Billy Craig, and I'll be your moderator today, and I'm joined by two other gentlemen who should be crying, but they just can't let it go. I'm coming to you from Delaware, out here on the East Coast, where it is sunny and probably a little bit cooler than where you are right now because of the heat wave. Our engineer and the guy who's representing for all the bald and sexy out there, or the ones who want to be, is our man Andre Collins.
Coming from Nashville, Tennessee. So also a producer of the show. So if y'all see me typing on something, mind your business. We just handling business on the background. We ain't got no sponsors yet. So we got to do this ourselves.
All right. And then our resident Dennis Rodman of the crew, because somebody's always got to do the dirty work. Somebody's always got to get loose. We got to go find him, hanging out with Madonna. That would be Paul Wilson joining us from Portland.
Good afternoon. Good to see y'all today. And I'm just glad y'all was willing to do this with me, considering that we got, Mr. Buddy LaRosa over here. And Reverend Big Muscles.
Listen, I'll take your shirt off.
Please don't.
Please don't.
All right, then. Well, let's go ahead and get started with our first topic of the day. And as I mentioned earlier in the teaser that we put out there, what is with the situation surrounding Brittney Griner? And specifically, why does it seem like we just don't seem to care that much? In particular, in the black community, like, what's up with that? Start with you, Andre.
So I'm kind of torn on this, not because I don't care. It's because I feel like I'm one of the only people who seems to care from our community on this. I've been watching the coverage this last week. I don't know if y'all familiar with it, but her wife was supposed to have a phone call wired through by the embassy. Right. And they scheduled it 2 weeks ago. And in a Keystone Cops moment, they scheduled it for a day where nobody was manning the desk. So Brittney Griner called like 10 times and there was nobody there to patch her through to her wife on her anniversary of all days. And also during Pride Month. Like, there's a whole conflux of things that just don't seem to be working. And I actually felt Brittney Griner's wife when she was like, if y'all can't manage a phone call, I know y'all can't manage this situation. And so it angers me just because of the lack of caring that we have, or the lack of caring that seems to be around. Like, when you follow social media, people are like, yo, she committed a crime in a different country. You just got to deal with the consequences. And that's, to me, okay, I get it if, like, she really, like I said last week, we're getting the information from the Russian government. So we don't really know what happened because they kept her for a month before anybody ever said anything. So there's like a confirmation bias because you want to believe she did something wrong because for some reason, and I guess we'll dive into that, we don't like her for some reason. Like, she's not the model that we want it to be in order for us to care. And I think that's, we're a syndicated show. We trying to keep it clean, but that's effed up. That we place limits on how we care about people. Like, if this was somebody in the United States and your boy went to jail for one joint and they was like, yo, we're going to give you 10 years for having a joint, you would be up in arms. Y'all be marching up and down the streets and everything else. But now somebody else is in, somebody that you don't necessarily care about because she's gay, she's black, she's tall, and she plays basketball. Like, you act like that doesn't mean anything. So because you don't care about her personally, you like, well, I mean, she did what she did, so she has to deal with it. And I think That's just a messed up way to look at it, because if she was, I'll go ahead and go here since we're going to keep it real in the show. If she was white and she was just a regular Becky from the neighborhood, y'all would be up in arms. Like, no, we got to bring her home immediately. And we still calling on Kamala, Joe, all them people who said they care about the American people. They still ain't met with the wife. It's been 2 months now at this point. We're at 100, I think it's 150 plus days at this point, and you ain't even met with her family? Come on, dog. Like, that's trifling.
Well, I'll let you go, Paul, but I'll even take it a step further, because you were saying, you introduced the racial element to it, but something that I personally have been thinking, and this is even before this situation where she got incarcerated, but even going back to some other causes that she was speaking about, this we're talking a couple of years ago, my thought was, I don't think she meets the standards of beauty that a lot of people think of when they think of females and attractiveness. And I think that's what a lot of women in sports go through, because I'm convinced that if she were, and I'm just throwing out names, but I'm thinking if she were somebody like Sue Bird, for example, would we have the same energy that we do for her? I mentioned this in a conversation Paul and I were having about, I remember years ago, back when I was a kid, when you had, was it Chris Everett and Steffi Graf, but Martina Navratilova. And I remember like the way that the media even framed up and set them up, it was totally different. She was from Russia. She had a really thick accent. She was not somebody who met the same standards of beauty that the Chris Everetts and other ones did. And so they were treated differently in the media. And I wonder if that is an element of this too, specifically why it is we don't seem to be giving it much attention, because I'm convinced that if it were, Venus or Serena or somebody like that, regardless of what the crime is, then maybe we would, our community in particular, we would be a little more even in tune. I've talked to people who don't even know who she is, or much less, what she did, and talking about the vape sticks or whatever it was. They don't even know who she is, or even that she's over in Russia, because they just don't care.
Right.
I'll shoot it over to you, Paul.
Well, context matters, right? So let's go back to how we were introduced to Brittney Griner. And we go all the way back. If you remember, she got in a big fight her freshman year at Baylor.
That's right. Yep.
And she's been treated a certain way because of how she looks her whole entire life. I've read some of her interviews, especially, I think she did something in the Players Tribune a while back. That was
about a year and a half during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not to cut you off, but one quick thing. It was a justified fight. But go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying
how we
were introduced.
Exactly.
Right.
And then you got her going to Baylor, which, if you know anything about, Baylor, they play a little ball down there, right?
Yeah.
I got this courtesy of when they sent this to my son when they were trying to get him to go there. But
humble flex.
No, it wasn't for football. It wasn't for football. It was just, you're a good student, buddy. No, but we've been introduced to her in such that way, and then her being so dominant. It's almost like the same thing with Shaq. The way they were allowed to play against him, the way they were allowed to play against her in the court of play, right? And then with her being openly gay, and then all of these things that it's been like she's constantly been trying to carve out a safe space for herself. And we as sports fans and just humans in general have been reluctant to give her that space. When she first got caught, I asked myself, what kind of person would go through an airport with vape pens and herb over several countries? And it was an easy answer. Someone who's done it a bunch of times.
Right.
It was not something that if they planted it on her, they planted it on her. But they know how she gets down. They know how she lives her life.
And to your point,
huge celebrity over there.
I was getting ready to say she's a huge celebrity over there, much bigger than she is here, because that's actually where she makes most of her money. That's where actually her career is anchored at, is over there.
So you got the ripple effect of, we don't know how much this is going to affect women's pro basketball as a whole, because how many ladies are going to want to go back over there, which is the richest league where they make their most money?
Exactly.
So this is affecting more than just Brittney Griner smoking some herb or just trying to get it through the airport. Like, this is an issue that will affect the entire industry of women's basketball, not just Brittney Griner.
Right.
So I believe Adam Silver needs to get a hold on this the same way he got a hold on China when Daryl Morey got caught up.
Yes.
So, but real quick, Paul, so you came up with an analogy earlier this week about LeBron and what it would look like. I just want you to share that, because that struck the right nerve at that point.
If LeBron had just got caught with, say he got caught in his luggage with a little herb in his luggage, and they had him jammed up and Barack was president, black people would be different right now. We would hold Barack to the fire in a whole different way. Now, during this last election cycle, there was a lot of division amongst black folks, mainly men and women, where it was, she's not black. She don't care about y'all the way y'all think she do.
She being,
and y'all told us, that's my sister. She HBCU. She black just like me. And y'all not holding her to the fire the same way that y'all would hold that man. Y'all just letting her disappear. She say she wear Chucks. She down with us. Why ain't she trying to get Brittney free?
I repeat, it's been 2 months and they ain't had a conversation with her family. Not one. And they missed scheduled calls. Like this again, I put out the APB last week for Vice President Kamala Harris on a lot of issues. And you can't tell me that you did that busy. Like, I know the world is falling apart right now, but damn, dog, you ain't got 30 minutes. You ain't got 30 minutes to have a phone call to try to get this on the right path. And I mean, what you currently do ain't working. What y'all doing right now is not working. Gas prices, again, gas prices are phenomenal. Stock market is even more phenomenal. So how about you take some time and do at least one thing? Like, give me one. And y'all just like bypassing this. And again, this is an effed up situation all the way around. Like, there's many key players in his that have a part in this being as bad as it is. And Brittney Griner is a small fish on this one. This is, political war and things like that. But you gonna tell me y'all got time to talk about Trump and his taxes for damn near 2 years. Y'all got time to overturn Roe v. Wade. Y'all got time to do all these other things, but get one person to have a conversation with her families to see if we can get her home. And she's been designated as wrongfully detained for at least a month now at this point.
Well, remember the kid from Wyoming High School over in North Korea?
Yes.
And how we reacted when he got jammed up?
Yeah. And that's, and Paul, and what you're saying is exactly my point, is that obviously that's above me. That's above my pay grade. I'm not in the realm of policy. I can't do anything policy-wise to get that situation handled. But that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring this up. We're not even aware that there needs to be a conversation in most cases. Because let's face it, the WNBA is the most exposure that most people would even have to her. And that's kind of unfortunate. That's another conversation for another day about women's sports and how it's viewed in the media. But more importantly, even us, and I'm talking about black people, nobody seems to even care that if it's happening to her, that guess what? It can happen to you. And it may not be Russia. It may not be something as simple as that. It could be, you just over in Mexico, or it could be anywhere. The situation itself, the specifics don't matter as much as the fact that we just don't seem to care about how somebody is being treated, like Andre said, even just on a human level. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to introduce this. And hopefully people can take some time and actually think about the fact that, man, this woman has been literally wrongfully detained all this time and nobody said anything. Nobody's brought anything up.
Switch!
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and dive into this next topic then? And it's what I like to call toxic parenting in youth sports. And as my man said, and my cousin Vinny, we all have some utes, right? We're at that age where we utes. Yes, I have two utes, right? And one of the things I noticed, my background, I coached a lot of years coaching track, and right now I'm focused on baseball, which was actually probably my best sport. And so I have my son who's 13, he's playing. And one of the things that I've noticed, I mean, you see it virally, people are always posting clips of this and videos all over TikTok and YouTube and everything else, but I'm even seeing it while I'm out coaching, and I have a travel ball team. These guys are in high school and college, so we go around and play a lot of games. And I'm noticing a lot of parents that they're not just arguing over balls and strikes. They're not just mad over, you missed a play, Mr. Umpire or whatever, but we're talking about actual fighting. People actually fist fighting and attacking the referees and going after the umpire and knocking him down. There was a story of one guy, what is he, 70? What was he, like a 75-year-old?
Oh, 75, yeah. A coach from New Jersey argued a call and then ended up punching the referee and broke his eye socket and his jaw.
Yes. Okay.
Over balls and strikes on a 13 and under baseball game.
Help. Okay, help me, right? Because here's the thing. Now as I mentioned, I'm a little bigger. I'm the black man, and baseball is one of them sports where the black man kind of stands out because it is let's just be honest here. There's not a lot of accomplished or it's really a thing to have black people in baseball, and so I already stand out. Plus, I'm a little bigger than most of the guys. I'm a little younger, so it's like they don't give me no problems, even if they want to. They whatever. But I'm noticing the tension and a lot of this anger and rage that these parents are getting out. And I'm just kind of confused, almost like, where is this coming from? And I know it's not just baseball, right? I mean, it's happened even when I coached football. It was the same thing. But what exactly is it about parents feeling the need to take this anger and rage and frustration and all this negative energy and expose this to something that should be, at least in my perspective, a positive thing, because you're trying to cultivate an environment where you want these kids to excel in sports. Audrey, we'll let you go first.
So you coached, I coached, Paul coached. I also was a referee as well. I did it for a couple of seasons with girls lacrosse and for football. And hands down, girls lacrosse was the worst parents that I had to deal with.
I could imagine.
And bad because nobody knows the damn rules.
That's right.
But everybody wants to tell the referee that they're wrong.
Right.
And
it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yes.
It is expensive. And it's a lot of running, and just the rules are so finite to keep people safe. And the parents have, like, even the kids don't know the rules. And so you got coaches that are volunteers. They don't know the rule book that well. So everybody's arguing. But now it's reached a level. I still have some friends that still do it, where parents are following umpires and referees to their cars. This happened in Ohio twice. And here's the kicker. The combined records of these teams was 1-13.
Wow.
So we're not even talking about good teams. And they following refs to their cars.
So you sorry and entitled.
Man.
Right.
And so you see it, like we already talked about the baseball. We got football where an umpire or referee was attacked by another coach. And I think we mentioned it earlier or in our post or pre-production conversation that the younger they are, the more angry these people are for some reason. Mm-hmm. And it literally makes no sense. Nick Saban is not coming to your 7 and under football game to recruit your child. It's not happening. We talking about 1% of the 1% that make it to the pros, and y'all arguing like your child is next, like your child is LeBron. It's not that though.
Right, like you hurt his chances.
at a summer camp in the middle of July, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Like, no, nobody's checking for you like that. And I know there's unresolved issues where, parents didn't get to fulfill all their dreams or what have you. But this is it's really getting out of control. I mean, before I start cussing, I'm gonna let Paul kind of give his perspective because this angers me.
There are a lot of people who probably don't understand how hard it is to play sports in high school.
Yeah. Just at the high school level.
Just at the varsity level.
Yes. Right.
How difficult it is to go represent your school.
And be good at it.
And be good. And these kids, these sports are expensive. Now, I coach football, and I didn't want to do it, to be honest, when I got into it. It was because there was nobody else there and available. And my son was getting poor instruction. So in order to keep him from knocking himself out, I had to go out there and teach the other kids, that's not how you play. Okay? Then you got the IG, right? With the superstars. And then you had that little Friday Night Tykes joint. And you got the little joint on YouTube where they follow the youth travel baseball squads. Right. And baseball's so expensive and times are so hard. And parents just are trying to get something out of that investment. Maybe Timmy can do it. Maybe Timmy can make this thing bubble. I don't know. But it's crazy to see adults really lose their whole sense around like 10U baseball, 13U football. And only 5% of these kids that play youth sports are going to play varsity. 5%.
And only 12, 15% of them are going to play in college. If that.
I want to say it's 2 or 3% of that 5% will play in college on any level.
Okay, got you.
And 1% of that 1% is going to make it to the pros.
Yes.
And that means they're going to get to the pros in football and play for 2.5 years.
If you reach your dream, you'll be unemployed by the time you're 26 years old.
Exactly right. And here's the thing, and it's even worse for baseball, and I had this experience because, like, even if you did play past high school or, because it's a little bit different with how baseball works because you don't always necessarily have to go to college, but you could play pro and never see the big leagues. Right. You could. I know guys who I used to play with. Yeah, there are guys who I played with, very good. Like I'm talking elite level baseball players who never got past AA.
The Crash Davises of the world.
Right. Guys who never see. And this is the reason why. Part of the reason why I was asking this and I'm bringing it up because my experience was a little bit odd, and maybe we'll touch on this at another, time. I didn't get that level of involvement from my parents, and it wasn't because my, dad never played sports or anything like that. He was just one of those people who was like, I'm going to stay above this. I'm not about to go out here, be ignorant, and try to pull the coach in this direction and make him, do these type of things. So I just have a different perspective. But also too, even though I was a very good athlete, I never had these false expectations that if I don't make this play or this call doesn't go my way, that life is over. Like, that's it. And I wonder if that's part of it for the parents, where it's almost like, because I played with guys and I've seen guys where it's like their dreams, like you said, their dreams got shattered, and so they never maybe made it to the level they wanted to, and they felt like all hope was lost, and now they're out here on the corner doing nothing with their life, and it's like, dude, you had potential. Why didn't you do something else? But everything was wrapped up in that, and I'm like, I wonder if maybe that's coming from the parents.
It probably is.
So I had the opposite experience. My father was really get involved.
Yeah. No. You left off 4 really.
Yeah, about 17.
I know, right?
But my father was psychotic about it though. Like he had me. So the full disclosure, I played college ball. Like I could do my thing. Like you can check the records. They there. That's not what this is about. When I was 8, my father had me playing with the 11 and 12-year-olds. Yep. And let's go back in time. 11 and 12-year-olds back then, the birth certificates was whatever they wanted it to be. So I'm 8 playing against 14-year-olds, and my father like get in there and hit them.
Right.
Wait, why? Like what? This hurts. I'm hitting some dude. I'm 8 and I'm hitting a guy with a mustache. Like this hurts. I don't like football, and I hated football until I got bigger. And I was able to handle it. But like all these parents who are throwing their kids in sports that they ain't got no business in, or they aren't physically developed or anything like that. Like I get it, because everybody got that person that they grew up with that, I was going to go to the league, but my 9-year-old, 10-year-old coach, he had something against me. And and here I am now, just working a factory job. But Nick Saban was gonna call me though. Like it was gonna happen. Like stop it, y'all. Like let's let kids be kids. Let's let them have fun. Let them pick the sports. If your son shows an interest in football, cool. If your girl shows an interest in basketball or whatever if your girl shows an interest in football, cool. But let's be realistic to them, because I'll be the first to tell you. Tell them the truth. It hurts. Even for professionals, it hurts. At high school, it hurts. In college, it hurts. I haven't touched a football field in 20 years and I still hurt. That's the reality of sports.
Yes.
But to try to live through your kids is just, it's a dangerous thing. But because of the, like now the elevated status of, I guess, how much college costs, like I don't get it. Like my father, like he was the parent that would yell from the stands. But he was always yelling at me. Like he was never yelling at like the referee or the umpire or anything like that. Like, but now we got people who take this really, really personal. And y'all need to grow up, like for real. Let's just go there, clap, let's call it a day. Because now we got it where you got certain states, like with soccer, where can't nobody say nothing. You can't cheer, you can't clap. It is a silent sport. And y'all made it that way. And that's stupid. That's real stupid, because I've been to one of these games and I clapped and it was like, shh, we don't do that. We don't do what? Like she just scored a goal. Like why do we
don't support our children?
They were like, no, we can't go out there and clap. It's a silent sport.
Graduation? Like, what are we doing?
So this is how we ended up here. So I think y'all need to grow up. That's really how I feel about things growing up.
And I raised this again. I just wanted to kind of explore that. First of all, let me just say this. Shout out to Mr. Collins, because I know you're watching. I always appreciated what you did with the boys, okay? Like you were an inspiration. Don't let Andre talk that way. Okay? Because I was there for it, okay? Because I remember the day that Andre actually was bigger than everybody. He just showed up, walked in a lunch. We were in middle school, and it was like, wow. Because I've been seeing Andre. We played, Little League baseball. I was like, oh, that's Andre, whatever. And then all of a sudden, he was just bigger and faster than everybody.
I grew 6 inches in the summer. So yeah, Billy's not lying. Like he's
for real. He showed up. We was he's about the same height, and all of a sudden it was like, well, I guess he's the quarterback now. He kind of has to be, right?
Switch!
Finally, what I'd like to bring up now, and this one will go straight to you, Paul. Who exactly is it that we are counting on to choose our Black leaders? Who is it that are set up there as role models and examples for us? Because there's a lot of disagreements out there. A lot of people, they'll be like, oh, well, you need to respect this person. They're a role model. And I'm like, first of all, that has managed to backfire whenever we haven't kept it in perspective. I think of the Dr. William Cosby's of the world, for example. Because there's and here's the thing, we know it, the higher you go up, the more we're looking for that fall anyway. That person is going to fail us. But who exactly is it that we should have, maybe, is the question, as our leaders? People that we respect and look up to.
I start with, why do we need separate leaders? Who determined that we needed separate people to speak for us? Well, I thought we were all Americans. That's the first mistake they made.
Okay.
The second mistake they made was the ones that were actually about independence, economic, educational freedom, independent stability, grow your own food. Those were the ones that were taken away from us.
Shoot them down.
They shoot them down.
Yep. Marginalize them. Yeah.
And then they replace them with pastors who got their hands out. And they want to march whenever one of us die. They just ambulance chasers. Whether, it's either a lawyer or a pastor that comes and, over the dead body and goes and prays and, could y'all please stop shooting this boss? We sorry, And then they give you ones that will undermine your struggle, undermine your humanity, a la Colin Kaepernick. Who decided he was a leader? He's never been a black man in his life. I saw the movie. He endorsed the movie. He told me he learned how to be black by listening to rap and getting braids like Allen Iverson. His words, not mine. So he's supposed to tell me how to navigate this experience. Why should he tell me? Oh, because you want me to have his experience. You want me to be confused about who I am, about my purpose and how you see me. And then you want me to act out about it, which will undermine the rest of the people who feel like me. Candace Owens, another one.
Yeah.
Who picked her? When did we cast the votes? When was the ballot out? Like, I didn't see the campaign signs. I didn't see no commercials. Either you got to be down with Colin Kaepernick or you got to be down with Candace Owens. At least that's what white folks tell me. You should listen to Candace. She makes so much sense. She's so brilliant.
And in reality, she's just palatable to you. Because
she says things that you agree with.
She said what you want to hear. That's exactly right.
Yeah, she doesn't stimulate conversation.
Right.
And neither does Kaepernick, because he doesn't even show up to the conversation.
So let me ask this. Shout out to the preachers with their hand out. I will be live on Sunday, since you got to do that. But all jokes aside, I'm all jokes aside. How do we need to understand and perceive leadership, though? Because the fact of the matter is, leadership is something that's necessary. And you mentioned how we should not necessarily even be looking at it from a divided standpoint of, well, we got our set of leaders over here, you got yours there. But how do we bridge that gap? Because if I've got leaders that are not working in my best interest, then in my world, that necessitates me becoming a leader, because that's just how I look at things. That's me, but that's not everybody. How do we bridge that gap then? Because if the leaders that have been chosen aren't good for me, then how do we approach leadership?
Can y'all tell me who speaks for white folks in America? Can y'all tell me who speaks for Latinos in America? Can y'all tell me who speaks for Asian folks in America? Do y'all even have a handful of list of names for those people? Because it don't exist. Right. We need leadership. Why do we need leadership? Why do we need to be babysat? Why do we need to be told what to think and where to go and how to respond?
I think it's us chasing a tail. Mainly because when you look at it, like Billy, you brought up the point, somebody's working in our best interest. Well, we've been in America long enough now at this point that our interests are different. My interests aren't the same as yours, and yours ain't the same as Paul's. So How do we find one person that can speak for everybody's interests? It's impossible. But we continue to have these people that are thrown out in front of us to say, okay, this is the person who's speaking on behalf of Black America. Without, like Paul said, without a vote. Like Ice Cube went and was supposed to have a meeting with a contract with Black America. Where do we get this information? Like, who do we talk to that gave us our list of demands and needs in order for that to be a viable list? I'm not saying that Ice Cube did anything wrong, because he got vilified for even trying, and it turned out he wasn't really that wrong.
No,
because,
he wasn't wrong.
But the whole point is, like, Black people have become so cynical that we don't trust anybody. It doesn't matter whether it's Colin Kaepernick, whether it's Barack Obama, whether it's like, we're so divided on who's speaking for us that all we do are arguing with ghosts. And it is a frustrating point, to your point, Paul, that we don't necessarily need leadership. We need representation. And I think having a seat at the table is better than just having one person saying, an Al Sharpton or Benjamin Crump, where, like you said, when somebody dies, here they are. And now it's deemed as a viable cause, the George Floyd killing. George Floyd was a flawed human being that was selected by somebody to become. He wasn't a martyr because he didn't choose this death. Now, his death represented a lot. And real quick, I know this was part of the topic, or off the topic, but like, when he died, it was on camera for everybody to see. I never watched the video. I'm one of those people that if I know the ending, ain't no point in me watching it. So I already knew what happened. But at that point, there was such a huge corporate response of, hey, we care about Black people. Now, we've been telling you, it's been good. Now, Red Fox was making jokes back in the 70s about police brutality and everything else. So but we were treated like we were lying this entire time until this ended up on camera. And now corporate America cares. How long did they care? About a solid 5 to 6 months. At that point in time, I was working with a company and we had Black summits where they wanted to talk. And then after about 3 months, it became every couple of weeks. Then it became once a week. And I had, to be honest, I'm a fairly, like, once we have more of these shows, you'll realize I'm kind of the in-between guy. Like, I'm really level. So I had white people reach out to me. Hey, how can I help? I'm sorry I didn't believe you, but I want to become a better person. I need to become a better person. And I'm down for the Black cause because I didn't believe you. And it was a lot of white guilt that happened. And how many repeat conversations did I have? I'm gonna hold up to Steph Curry. 0. Nobody. And after the trial, oh my God, you can go ahead and wash your hands of it. Now white guilt is forgiven. He went to jail. I have nothing else I have to do. And yet Black people still have the same struggle. So it's really weird. And it's a really weird space to say, yes, we need leadership, but all we needed was representation. We've always needed representation from the beginning, and we need to be in the rooms where it happened. And we thought Kamala was going to be in the room where it happened. And little did we know, she didn't represent us in that room. And she's not representing us in that room. And I don't think she cares to represent us in that room.
She's not one of us.
Hey, I'm gonna let.
So how can you be mad at her for not caring? She cares about who she cares about, and that we all do. Look, I'm guilty of that too, right?
Right.
But to get back on to what you were talking about, like you brought up George Floyd. Imagine having a whole Philando Castile to hold up, as your martyr.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing,
and
Paul,
you pick George Floyd on purpose.
And whenever I would, and obviously it's not nearly as hot and heavy right now a topic, but I remember when the whole uproar over George Floyd was going on, that is what I always brought up. Because honestly, Philando Castillo looks, behaved, walked, moved. His lifestyle is my life. He literally is a registered gun owner.
He's the one we should have tore the streets up over.
He was the one he did everything right. He didn't have no. He worked in the cafeteria. He working in the community. He's giving back to kids. He's taking care of his. I guess it was his fiance, but this is like his daughter. Like he literally. He's the one. And again, this is no shade or anything against George Floyd.
Right.
But he's the one that was the example. And that takes me to the other part of this. And it's funny that, you know, we joke about this because, you know, you guys, if you haven't figured out yet, I pastor a church. And the thing about it is, just a little insight, one of the experiences that I deal with, I have a mixed congregation. So it's not like it's an all black church. But it's split, you know, pretty much down the middle. And we have some representation from a lot of different cultures and different ethnicities. And believe it or not, while I can honestly say I've experienced a difficult time leading some of the white parishioners, and there have been people who left once I took over and everything. To be honest with you, some of the most difficulty that I've had in ministry has been that cynical thing you were talking about amongst black people. They're the ones that are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're the ones who are always skeptical. Is he really who he says he is? Or is there something underhanded going on? Or what's happening with the money? Like, this is the type of thing that, and I bring that up because this is the type of thing that troubles me, is that it's almost like you have good examples, you have good representation, you have good leadership, you have good role models. Why don't you follow them? Why don't you look to them? Why are you always waiting for somebody to give it to you when it's right there in your face? You know, it's like it's almost like we're chasing this model ideal leadership. We're chasing the Messiah, you know, not to be too hyperbolic, but it's like we're chasing this Messiah when you have good representation and good examples out there for you to follow him out. I think of, like, and I just throw out an example. I don't even care nothing about, but like Mike Tomlin. I don't know anything about his personal life. I never met the man, that kind of thing. But as a coach and as an example, he is somebody when it comes to leadership, when it comes to management style, when it comes to being disciplined, accomplishment. He is the type of person that honestly, I don't know why. I mean, yeah, you know, we as football minds, we like him, but I don't understand why he doesn't get more love, why he doesn't get pointed at more as an example. And I'm just throwing out a person, but my point is there's plenty of people out there. We don't have to have a Messiah. Right. We don't have to have some designated person, like you said, that shows up to the funeral or speaks out on our behalf.
There's somebody for you to look up to.
Right.
There's somebody for you. That we don't all have to look up to the same person.
That's right.
We don't have to. Again, you're a pastor, right? There are reasons that people come to your church, and there are reasons that people go to other churches.
That's exactly right.
And it's nothing.
And I don't even begrudge it. Matter of fact, if it's better for them, I've told more people, and I've been criticized for this. I'll tell them straight up. We actually are probably not the best suited thing for you. My integrity tells you, let me recommend you go here because I'm familiar with these people. You should go there. It's going to be better for you. And so I only bring that up because I feel like, especially the topic in Black America, it seems to matter so much in Black America. But like you said, you can't find me the designated leader of any other group because nobody's even looking for it. And so I think that's a call to us to really, and I say us collectively, us to really think about the fact that we need to stop chasing this ideal, this you know, fictional, you know, thing where it's like, oh, where the Dr. King's at? Well, they killed him. So, you know, people getting tired of that. People getting tired. You know, the Medgar Evers and the, you know, Malcolm X is out there. Like, no, you know, people have gotten smarter. They've changed their dynamics, changed the way in which they go about leading. And we need to consider that we need to change the way that we follow. We need to change the way that we even frame up the conversation and what we're actually looking for. Well, with that being said, I'm going to pass this over to Andre because I think it's time for us to sound the alarm.
All right, so it's time for the APB. And as always with the A, I'm going to start off. So my APB is out for the support of Black businesses. There was a rush. We just finished Juneteenth. It was double duty with Father's Day, but we had a whole bunch of support for black businesses, and we need to buy black, and we need to do this for black people and businesses and support your black businesses. And once Juneteenth was over, is that support still flowing through? And I'm not just talking about from black people. I'm talking about from white people and the other people who wanted to patronize these black causes and these black businesses at the same time. So I think I'm putting out an APB for that on two fronts. One, you need to continue to support these black businesses throughout the year, not just on one day to try to make yourself feel good about not supporting the rest of the year. But two, when you do support black businesses, it's the way you support them. Asking for a discount, asking for the hookup. Like, let's stop that. We need to pay whatever the yesterday's price is not today's price. And whatever today's price is, you need to pay it. Because everybody ain't trying to get over. They trying to live. When Walmart raised their prices, you don't say a damn thing. When food prices go up at Chili's, you don't say a damn thing. When you going out to Morton Steakhouse and these other steakhouses and they tell you, hey, this steak is $98, you say, cool, I'm balling, I'm doing it. But then,
cow.
Man, same cow. But when Leroy's Fish House raised the price of fish for $1, you throwing a fit and going on social media and acting like, they just trying to get over and they trying to rob people. And I can't believe that we paying $10 for a fish sandwich. Well, guess what? The cost of a Big Mac extra value meal was like $4 when I was in college. That joint is now $11. So you still ain't got no problem going to McDonald's to do it. Don't have a problem going to Leroy's Fish House and doing it. So I just want everybody to continue to support black businesses, but support them in the right way. Let's stop bad mouthing because they had to raise the prices, because everybody had to raise the prices, because we'll get back to Joe and Kamala in a second. But that's my APB for today is let's go ahead and keep supporting.
My APB is on common sense. We are at a time in history where food is short, money short, people are losing jobs. I live in Portland, by the way, and if you know anything about Portland, if you just drive in downtown Portland, there are tent cities under every single overpass. It is bad out here, okay? Really the West, any big city on the West Coast. It ain't just Portland. It's Seattle, it's LA, it's the Bay. It's bad. Homelessness is really, really bad. With that said, today we just overturned Roe v. Wade in a time where teachers are leaving the profession in droves and we don't have no food. We couldn't have told children couldn't have cared less about them now than we've done ever in history, right? So why are we forcing people to have more children when we don't want them? Yeah. I'm going to need common sense. I'm going to need to see some Republicans, these people who want this, these Catholics, these evangelicals. I'm going to need to see some adoptions. I'm going to need to see people voting yes on increasing taxes because social services are going to be necessary with all these unwanted babies. Mm. Yeah, you're going to have to get a little bit more of your checkup. And we're going to have to pay the teachers more to keep them in school. So I just can't for the life of me find the rationale in forcing women to carry children that they don't want.
You're literally setting a child up for a miserable life because now you talk about social and mental health. Like,
you just...
and I know this is your APB, but I'm going to give a small plug. While we getting these Republicans to do this adoption stuff, how about we find a way to lower the cost of adoption? Because the average cost of adoption in this country is $35,000. Just want to put that out there for anybody who says, oh yeah, I can adopt a kid. You got to have 35 extra. You ain't got to have 35 in the pocket. You got to have extra on top of, you still got to get the kid and take care of the kid. So if we can be really great to be able to kick some money in for that, because we're kicking in money for everything else. Mm-hmm. Airlines, everything else. And my whole line has always been that these people who are overturning Roe v. Wade, they care about the baby until the baby's born.
That's right.
And after that, it's not my problem.
They don't care about the baby. They care about being able to tell you what to do.
They care about control. Absolutely. And I tell people, even from a faith perspective, it's really not my job to tell a woman what to do. unless she comes to me and she asks me, you know, it's none of my business. But
Right.
I'm gonna let you have your APB. Shout out to all the, by the way, shout out to all the parents out there who adopt, because it really is a special thing, and it really is super expensive. And by the way, that $35,000 extra, these ain't Cabbage Patch Kids, so they're not going on layaway. There is no plan for it. You got to have that money. Also, shout out to the Big Macs from back when Andre and I were in college, because they were still in the they were still in the little foam containers. That's back when they was really good. My APB for the week, and this is near and dear to my heart, especially after today, is for the judicial system and the way that the court systems are handled. And I literally could go on for hours, which I won't, about all the different tentacles that come off of this. But my experience today really reinvigorated in me a conviction that we got to do better about the way that we handle court cases and the way that these things are adjudicated, because we want people to be activated and involved. We want people to show up to court. We want people to be willing to show up for jury duty. And then we're disorganized and we treat them like trash. And, you know, they show up, they take time off work, they burn up their gas at $5 a gallon, and they waste all their time, and then they show up for nothing. Or they show up and then it gets rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled. I had to go to court this morning, and this is the 5th time I've been. I've yet to. I'm actually the victim in the case, and I've yet to actually speak in court. It has been pushed back, rescheduled, and then finally when I showed today, they're like, we don't really need you. Wow. You'll have to cut that out. But then you finally show up, and then they're like, well, yeah, we don't really need you. And so my APB is for the court system to just really clean it up. I mean, yeah, we know that it takes time and things are slow sometimes, but the process is really inefficient. And that's all we're asking for, is be organized. If you do, so, you know, the same thing you ask us to do. You ask us to show up and you want us to be on time. Because if I don't show up, then you throw it out. And then you say, I don't care. Switch! All right, well, we're going to wrap this up and just say thank you for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you again next week on The Gray Matters. Be blessed.
Yeah, definitely check out the website, graymatterspodcast.com. Follow us on all social media. And like we said, we're going to continue to put out positive vibes for Brittney Griner until she comes back. So go ahead and go over to www.wearebg.org to sign the petition to bring this young lady back home. But until we meet again, keep searching for the light.
All right. Keep tuning in, like and mash, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.